All right, in this video, we are going to be talking about delegating as a real estate agent, tips and tricks, how to delegate, who you should delegate to, and a little bit around mindset and kind of maybe going against the mold of what everyone else is telling you and how you can actually delegate without potentially hiring an individual. And so, jumping right in, the first thing we've got to understand is why delegation is so important. Now, if you're coming into this video with the mindset of, delegating to me means that costs money, we have got to change that mindset. That is a limiting belief on growth, right? And so, if you don't have the mindset that you are going to utilize the extra time that you are saving by delegating in order to explode your business, then you maybe shouldn't be delegating, right? Or you could delegate to potentially get your time back, right? If you have figured out that your time at this season of life in your real estate career is more important than the money that you can make, then you can potentially sacrifice some money in order to gain time. But either way, we are gaining something, whether it's time or the time to make more money. It's a win-win, right? So we should be implementing delegation into our business. It is a no-brainer. This is how we double or triple our business pretty significantly and pretty efficiently. We can do this very quickly where we offload 10 to 20 hours a week from our work schedule so that then we can take that 10 to 20 hours and apply to income producing activity, to prospecting, to door knocking, to working on new lead pillars or new lead generation systems, right? So that we can double and triple our business very quickly. Now, if you're at the process of delegating, you are probably trying to handle everything yourself, which leads to overwhelming and exhaustion. I mean, if you're a real estate agent, you're probably overwhelmed and exhausted always. But what can be really frustrating is when you're in the nitty gritty of administrative work or maybe something that you don't like to do and you are so frustrated because you could be working on income producing activity. And so now you're second guessing what you are spending your time on. It is a very, very, very frustrating hamster wheel to get in. And I promise you, once you get on the other side of delegation, it will be a huge breath of fresh air, a weight lifted off of your shoulder when you're able to focus on the things that you like to do and that are income producing while someone else does a phenomenal job at the things that you aren't good at or things that you don't like to do. There are, believe it or not, people out there that like to do what you don't like to do and are also very good at things that you aren't good at. And so it's a perfect match when we can figure out what we don't like to do and we aren't good at, which I will go over in this exercise a little bit later, and we can delegate that to someone that actually likes to do those things and is actually really great at it, right? It's a match made in heaven when that happens, right? And so obviously by leveraging others, like I just mentioned, if the majority of your time is made up of things that you like to do and things that you are great at, and then we also add in the variable of income producing activity, when you are solely focusing on income producing activity, obviously your income is going to increase, right? Whereas if we spend too much time on our administrative work or the things that we don't like to do that do not lead to income, then we aren't going to make more income, right? It's a very simple formula. So by delegating, we are able to scale our operations so that we can handle more clients. If I've got something that is taking me away from my clients that I can now get off of my plate, so now that I can welcome new clients, then I'm good to go. There are a lot of you that have the opportunity to scale, but you are worried about taking on more clients because you only have so many hours in a day. It's very exciting because we are going to now delegate more work so that you can accept more clients and then create more income for yourself, right? So now let's talk about who we should delegate to. Now, every book that you read, not every book, but many books that you read, or maybe brokerages or mentors that are a little more old school will say you need an admin first. And the reason why they say that, it's not completely bad advice, right? The reason why they say that is because traditionally the administrative work is not or does not lead to income producing activity, right? Administrative work doesn't directly relate to income or to the top line. It can. We can debate it all day long. You may be really great at customer service once a client goes under contract. However, a lot of times that may not be income producing. However, if some of you are absolutely in love with that process and that process you actually have been able to initiate asking for referrals throughout that process and you get more business while in that transaction process than you do in other income producing activities, then you should absolutely focus on that transaction management process that you are really good at and that you're getting a ton of referrals from because of your customer service skills, right? And so I hesitate from saying that you absolutely should get an admin or a transaction management person first because it may be a bad match. And this is where I want to introduce this exercise because there are many other ways you can delegate. One, you don't have to hire an admin. For some of you, hiring an admin for $40,000 to $60,000 a year is very overwhelming to be able to provide that much income to someone and be responsible for someone. And you may feel like you don't have 40 hours a week to delegate, right? And so I will go over a little bit later that there are other ways without actually hiring a full-time admin that you can delegate. But first, we've got to figure out what we want to delegate and who we are going to delegate that to. And I like to introduce this exercise. So this exercise is brought to us by EOS, which stands for Entrepreneurial Operating Systems. They are an incredible book series. They've got a lot of coaching around entrepreneurship and how to scale your operations. And so this is an exercise that I like to do often, which is to write down things in each four of these categories. So we start in the upper left quadrant, which is things that we like to do and things that we are great at. And you can do this on a piece of paper because hopefully there are a lot of things and that you will be able to fill up all of these buckets, right, that don't fit on this paper. But I want you to write down things that you like to do and things that you are great at. And then I want you to write down things that you like to do that maybe you are good at. Then I want you to write down the most dreaded quadrant, which are things that you don't like to do and things that you are also good at, right? Lastly, we're going to write down what we don't like to do and what we are not good at. And then what we are going to do is we're going to start in the bottom right quadrant when we are delegating. These are things that we have to get off of our plate first and foremost. These are things that we don't like to do and we're not good at them. So some of you may not like to show property and you aren't good at showing property, whatever that may mean, right? And so it may be partnering with another local new agent in your market and bringing them under your wing and leveraging out the showing process so that you can continue to prospect more, right?
We can delegate showing property to another local agent and pay them to do that a percentage of commission or an hourly rate or whatever you'd like to do. That is just one example of a delegation that isn't just admin, right? For some of you and a lot of you, it will be the transaction management and listing management process. It's entering listings into the MLS. It's making sure all parties get the signed contract. Those are things that you probably don't like to do and things that you aren't good at. And believe it or not, like I mentioned, there are people in this world that love to do those things and are good at that and that pay close attention to detail. And we want those people on our team if those are things that you don't like to do and you are also not good at. Once we delegate our don't like and not good activities, we then move to don't like, but we are good at doing these things, right? Oftentimes in these 3 quadrants, it can be difficult because we can get in this mindset of, well, I do it really, really well. I don't think someone can do it as good as me. And what I would challenge in that headspace is, does it matter if they do it as good as you, or does it matter that it just gets done? I met an agent the other day that said, I am just so efficient in uploading listings into the MLS. I hate doing it, but I don't want to give it up because I'm really efficient at it and I'm really good. I don't think anyone else can do it faster than me. And then it was like a news flash for him that it was like, hey, it doesn't matter if someone is doing it more efficient than you. What matters is if it takes you an hour, then so what if it takes another person 3 hours? You've gained an hour back in your schedule so that you can actually make money instead of entering a listing into the MLS, right? Then he hired a listing manager and he thanks me every single day because he implemented that leverage in his life. And now he's doubled his business in just a matter of 3 months because he simply hired an admin to do the things that he does not like and that he's not good at, and the things that he does not like, but he is good at. We had to get over that limiting belief that in these 2 quadrants, or really in the top 3 quadrants, of that we are the god of this activity, that we can do it better than anyone else. And that's just simply either not true, or it also just doesn't matter if they do it as good as you. Now, some of it, client outreach and communicating with clients, if that is something that you are really, really good at and you want to hold on to that, I would encourage you to do that, because that is your personality, and you've contacted these and probably converted these leads using your personality and your sales skills. And so I would wait to delegate those things because you are really good at it and you did convert those leads for a reason. So that would be an example of something that, I wouldn't delegate, or that I would challenge myself or debate myself and say, hey, maybe there are some things that you like to do that you are good at that you might do better than most of everyone else in your situation. So that would go on the like and great column, right? And we won't let go of those. Those are things that you are going to continue to do. All right. Now, forewarning, as we are talking through delegation, it takes time and almost always frustration to properly train someone. If you do not take the time to slow down, it's counterintuitive at times. You just hired leverage, or you paid a service for leverage, and now it slows you down because you've got to actually train them in the way that you want it to be done. I promise you, it is worth the upfront hours in order to do this. I have done this many different ways. I have delegated so many times, just threw my hands in the air and said, go figure it out. And it has always, always, always burned in my face, right? It's only when I've taken the time to properly train someone on how I want it to be done, and I slowly take the time to train someone. And I like to do a system called I do it, we do it, you do it. So the first time after I've trained someone on how to do it, I then let them watch me do it completely. And they sit right beside me, or they're listening in on the conversation, or watching me do it. I do it, right? And then we do it. Oftentimes I'll drive some of the process, I'll let them drive some of the process, but either way, we're still doing it together. And then on the third try, they do it and I'm looking over their shoulder, right? Making sure that they are doing it correctly, making sure I can answer their questions. And usually after I've done it and they've shadowed it, we've done it together, and then they've done it, then they can normally be pushed out of the nest into doing it on their own, right? So I would highly recommend that. Now, you might be saying, hey, I don't want to hire a full-time buyer's agent, or a full-time showing partner, or a full-time transaction or listing management, or an assistant. And I am here to tell you there are ways and services that you can kind of carve up these to-dos and bits and pieces and get different services to do them for you, or people to do specific things where you can only pay for certain services to be done, or for a certain number of hours to be worked. I oftentimes coach agents on starting here before hiring an assistant and before they can come up with 40 hours of work. So most of you have heard of either Fiverr or Upwork. This is an awesome way to hire out contracted work. So a lot of times you can do, for example, real estate social media. And so I can, if I'm someone that hates to do social media and I'm not good at it, I can come on Fiverr and someone can be a social media manager for me. 5 posts, 2 reels, 2 platforms, content creation, hashtags, captions. So there's different packages, so many different contractors out there on Fiverr that you and the other company is called Upwork. So there are a lot of times, especially if you have one-off tasks, that you can come to Fiverr, you can go to Upwork, and you can enter in your task and you can hire someone to do it right away. And it's also very, very cost effective. Now, if you that is usually good for certain projects. That's not traditionally good for a transaction or listing management, although you can find some really great listing and transaction managers on Fiverr or Upwork. There are also VA services like Cyberbacker. And so Cyberbacker is an awesome company. It is actually a full company of virtual assistants created specifically for real estate agents. And so what you can do is you can actually hire a VA through Cyberbacker and they will train that Cyberbacker on that specific job that you want. So for example, if you want a Cyberbacker that is a listing backer, meaning they assist with showing time or open houses, scheduling inspections, appraisals, entering listings into the MLS, they will actually train this virtual assistant for you on the systems that you have. As long as they have experience with those systems, which they 9 out of 10 times do, they will train this Cyberbacker for you and implement it into your business for you. So I highly recommend going down a route like Cyberbacker versus trying to hire your very first virtual assistant on your own through a platform like LinkedIn or Indeed. There are so many different Cyberbackers here. Another example is a transaction backer. So one that is a transaction management or a transaction coordinator. Again, Cyberbacker will train this virtual assistant. You go through the entire process of interviewing. They find exactly what you're looking for. They give you an option of 5 to 10 virtual assistants. You interview them, you pick one. They then will train them for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you will be able to implement it into your business. It has been a game changer. We have a Cyberbacker for marketing, for social media, for printing brochures, for doing open house marketing. We've got a transaction manager Cyberbacker assisting our full-time admin, as well as a listing backer assisting our full-time admin as well. It is extremely cost effective and it is phenomenal work. They are awesome, awesome, awesome virtual assistants. And I highly, highly recommend you implementing them into your business if you're in the market for a virtual assistant. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you got a few key takeaways on how to figure out what exactly you need to delegate so that you can actually scale your business to 2 or 3 times the amount of business that you are currently doing. If you want to check out a few more tips and tricks on how to scale your real estate business, please check out my other videos. If you'd like to jump on a call so that I can go over exactly how I can customize and implement delegation into your business for you and with you so that you can scale your business 2 or 3 times the amount of your current business in as little as 3 to 6 months, there is a link in the description below to my calendar. I would love to jump on a call with you. See you soon.